The Buccaneers have brought in a new defensive lineman after the season-ending injury to star defensive lineman Calijah Kancey. Shout out to Sleeper, by the way. More on them a little bit later on in this video. Per Rick Stroud, among a few other reporters as well, the Bucs have signed defensive lineman Elijah Simmons off the practice squad of the Arizona Cardinals. They have officially placed Calijah Kancey on the injured reserve. So this all but confirms, yes, Kancey's season is done, and Elijah Simmons comes into the roster. Now, before we talk about what that means for the Buccaneers and also the guys that they have internally as well, let's talk about Simmons himself, because Simmons played college ball at Tennessee. You guys see here on his combine profile, he was 6'1", 334 pounds. He had the talent to be an above average backup here at the NFL level, according to some analytics. Now, according to Lance Zierlein, he was projected to be a 7th round draft pick or a priority free agent after the draft. That was the case. He did sign with the Arizona Cardinals after the NFL draft. He was a part of their final roster cuts and then signed to their practice squad after that. Now, whenever we take a look at Elijah Simmons' overall numbers in the college level, to be honest, firstly, the thing that jumps out to me is playing 6 years at Tennessee. Part of that is the redshirt year. Part of that is because of the illness in 2020 that gave players another year of eligibility. So this is a guy who played in college for 6 years. Now, I will say Tennessee is an absolutely great school to be a part of. They are a very professional college organization, right? He did play in 55 games. He had 59 total tackles in his college career. He also had a half sack, 8 tackles for loss, and 3 passes deflected as well. I do want to confirm, by the way, also, according to the Cardinals website, he is 6'1", 335 pounds. Real quick, before we dive deeper into it, though, guys, I do want to say shout out to Sleeper for being the proud sponsor of this channel. If you guys do use the code MrBucs, you will get a $100 deposit match up to $100. Again, that is when you use the code MrBucs. Guys, download Sleeper today and enjoy sports the way it was meant to be. That is together. So, the official height and weight of Elijah Simmons is 6'1", 335 pounds. Okay, that is the fact of the matter. I also deep dove into the Pro Football Focus numbers for Mr. Elijah Simmons. And one thing that was really interesting for me to see here was the number of snaps that he was playing was very, very consistent. I mean, you know, in that 180, 190 range throughout his entire career at Tennessee. Okay, and to be honest, folks, it's not incredibly. You did see a mix of pass rushing reps versus run defense reps as well, but where Elijah Simmons excelled at the college level was in his run defense. You guys take a look here. Literally, 5 out of his 6 years at Tennessee, he had a 64.7 grade or higher in run defense. That's pretty darn good. He's also a pretty sure tackler. Again, you take a look here, 4 out of his 5 years, he had a plus 60 grade in overall tackling. Pass rush, not necessarily the best in the world, but not terrible. His best grade was a 70.6 in 2021. So basically what you're looking at here is a big body who can stuff the run. Okay, that is what Elijah Simmons is probably going to be here for the Buccaneers. Now, one thing that is so interesting to me is that the Bucs already have a good number of defensive linemen on their practice squad. You have Jason Jones, you have Nash Hutmacher, you have Adam Gotsis, and you've got CJ Brewer. Those are all defensive linemen that are currently in the Buccaneers system. So it is very interesting that the Bucs immediately went to an outside option. Now, they could still very well promote or elevate guys like Hutmacher, like Adam Gotsis, like CJ Brewer throughout the next couple of weeks and just throughout the season in general as well. But for that size of Elijah Simmons, 6'1", 335 pounds. One thing that is so interesting to me is that you have a guy like that already on your practice squad in Jason Jones, 6'6", 335 pounds. He was an undrafted guy out of Auburn. So I'm curious if that was the build that you were going for, was, hey, we want a big body guy that can go and stop the run. Why didn't you do Jason Jones? Why wasn't Jason Jones that option over Elijah Simmons? I'm unsure fully as to the reason. Right? But regardless, the Buccaneers did make that decision. What's done is done. And now you have a situation where Elijah Simmons is now part of the Buccaneers roster. Real quick, just to take a look at Jason Jones' numbers as well from the college level. Interesting stuff here, man. I mean, played 1 year at Oregon, played 3 years at Auburn, was pretty comparable, if not better, in run defense in his final year of college ball than what we saw with Elijah Simmons, but Elijah Simmons was graded as a better tackler. So, and he has a little bit more pass rushing juice. At least that's what it was in his final year. So, I don't know, man. Very, very curious case here. I do still believe that we will see elevations for the Bucs. Maybe Jason Jones is elevated. Maybe it's Adam Gotsis. Maybe they just wanted another couple of guys in there. But for me, this shows to me that the Buccaneers' strategy possibly is we want a backup nose tackle because Greg Gaines is going to be shifting over to defensive end. That's a very, very strong possibility here, okay? I'm not going to come out and say that, like, hey, Elijah Simmons is going to be playing defensive end and starting at defensive end right away. I do not believe that. I believe that this is going to be a scenario where we see Elijah Roberts and especially Greg Gaines slide over to defensive end, whereas Elijah Simmons is now brought in to be that new backup nose tackle because Greg Gaines is going to be starting at defensive end. That is my theory, okay? What do you guys think about that theory? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Who knows? Now, I will say Greg Gaines is coming off of a very strong game at that nose tackle spot versus the Houston Texans. He had a sack in that game, did pretty darn well, all things considered. So, maybe he will do fine at defensive end. He has been with the Buccaneers for a couple of years now. He's been in the system. He knows what to do. He is a capable veteran, I will say. So that's kind of what I envision, guys. I envision your starting defensive line being Logan Hall. You have Vita Vea at starting nose tackle. You have Greg Gaines as starting defensive end. Your two backup defensive linemen, not including elevations from the practice squad, are now Elijah Roberts at defensive end and Elijah Simmons at nose tackle. That is my thought process. He's actually got a very similar build to Greg Gaines as well, which is interesting. So, what do you guys think about this signing? Let me know down in the comments section below. I'd love to hear it. One more shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring this channel. It's greatly appreciated. I'll see you guys in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now and go Bucs.